Before the age of Columbus or Magellan, the oceans already belonged to another empire. From the shipyards of Nanjing, an armada of giants rose from the mist, sails bright as moonlight, dragons carved into their prows. At its head stood Zheng He, Admiral of the Western Seas, chosen by the Ming Emperor to bring the world beneath the gaze of China. For 3 decades, his fleet ruled the waves, then vanished as though it had never been. Zheng He was born Ma He in the mountains of Yunnan, far from the sea. His family were Muslims of Central Asian descent, loyal to the fallen Yuan dynasty. When the Ming armies swept through, Ma He was captured as a boy. Stripped of his freedom and his name, he was taken north to the Imperial court, a child-made servant in a palace of marble and silence. At the court of Prince Zhu Di, the future Yongle Emperor, Ma He proved more than obedient. He was clever, fearless, and loyal. He rose through the ranks not by birthright, but by will. When Zhu Di seized the throne in a violent coup, Ma He stood at his side. In gratitude, the new emperor gave him a new name, Zheng He. The boy who once served became the man who would command the greatest fleet in history. Yongle's throne was not built on peace. To secure his rule, he sought to awe the world with the power of Ming China. He ordered shipyards to expand beyond imagination, forests cut down for timber, cities of workers built along the Yangtze. He envisioned a navy that would carry his name to the edges of the earth to bring tribute, trade, and glory to the Dragon Throne. Zheng He would be its architect. Over the course of years, an empire labored. More than 300 ships were raised, towering vessels of teak and iron nails. The treasure ships stretched over 400 feet, 9-masted giants unlike anything the world had ever seen. The fleet held not only sailors and soldiers, but interpreters, doctors, and envoys. It was not an army, it was a civilization afloat, a mirror of the empire that sent it forth. In the summer of 1405, Zheng He's fleet set sail down the Yangtze. The riverbanks thundered with drums as thousands cheered. The fleet crossed the South China Sea, through Malacca and across the Indian Ocean. In Calicut, the admiral met kings and traders who stared in awe at his ships. He brought silks, porcelain, and the emperor's message that China sought friendship, not conquest, and that all who offered tribute would share in its prosperity. The voyages continued, each greater than the last. From the Spice Islands to Ceylon, from Arabia to the Swahili coast, Zheng He's ships mapped trade routes that would shape centuries to come. He charted lands few in China even knew existed. Exotic beasts were brought home, lions, zebras, and a tall spotted creature that the court named a qilin, believing it a mythical omen of divine favour. When the qilin was led before the Yongle Emperor, he saw it as proof that heaven blessed his reign. Poets wrote of miracles and harmony between worlds. But for Zheng He, it was not divine favour he saw, only the wonder of discovery. His fleet had crossed the world and returned unbroken. For the first time in history, the oceans had become a bridge instead of a boundary. Zheng He was no mere messenger. When diplomacy failed, his ships carried cannons. In Ceylon, he defeated a hostile king and returned him in chains to the emperor's court. Yet he preferred peace to conquest. He rebuilt temples, restored shrines, and treated foreign rulers with respect. Where others saw the unknown as threat, he saw it as invitation. His voyages carried both sword and olive branch, the twin faces of empire. Zheng He was a man of 2 worlds, servant of the Ming and follower of Islam. On his later voyages, he sailed to Mecca, fulfilling a spiritual journey few emperors would have allowed. His ships anchored in Jeddah, and he walked the sands of Arabia, far from the green rivers of China. There, among pilgrims of every tongue, he saw how vast the world truly was, and how small human pride could be. By 1417, the fleet sailed farther west than ever before. Across the Indian Ocean to Mogadishu and Malindi, the ships traded silk for ivory, porcelain for amber, jade for gold. Zheng He's officers spoke with African kings, exchanging gifts and stories of distant lands. When they returned, they brought exotic animals and tales of people whose cities gleamed beneath a burning sun. The Middle Kingdom had met the edge of another world. In 1424, the Yongle Emperor died. His successors saw the Voyages as wasteful, the work of a restless ruler who loved glory more than stability. Confucian ministers argued that China's destiny lay within, not beyond. Budgets were cut, shipyards closed, and the great admiral recalled. For the first time in 2 decades, the oceans grew quiet. Zheng He had carried the light of empire to every horizon, only to see it dimmed by politics. Years later, Zheng He returned to sea one last time. Age had wearied him, but his duty remained. The 7th voyage would be his farewell to the world he had once united. The fleet again reached the coasts of Arabia and Africa. There, amid the heat and salt, the admiral fell ill. Tradition says he died at sea, his body buried beneath the waves, wrapped in silk and prayers as the tide carried him home. After Zheng He's death, the great ships rotted in their docks. Records were destroyed, maps sealed away, and the knowledge of the world beyond forgotten. Within a generation, China's navy was gone. The empire that had once ruled the seas turned its back to them. When European explorers began their voyages a century later, they sailed unchallenged across oceans Zheng He had already mastered. Whispers endured of Zheng He's lost ships, of wrecks on foreign shores, of carved jade found in strange lands. Some claimed he reached Australia, or even the Americas, long before Columbus. Others said the fleet was swallowed by the sea, taken by storms that erased all trace. No proof remains, only the echo of a time when China looked outward and saw the world as a neighbour, not a mystery. In Beijing, the scholars triumphed. They banned ocean travel, destroyed ship plans, and forbade private voyages. Maritime law became isolation. To them, the sea brought corruption, distraction, and danger. The empire turned inward, building walls instead of ships. In silencing Zheng He's legacy, they silenced the idea that China could lead through exploration and exchange. The horizon, once filled with sails, faded into superstition and myth. Centuries later, fragments of old charts surfaced, records of coasts drawn with eerie accuracy, showing places unknown to Europeans of the time. Were they Zheng He's maps, or inventions of later dreamers? No one could say, but the accuracy hinted at a truth buried under dust and secrecy, that the world had once been smaller, its edges already touched by the hands of Chinese explorers long before the West arrived. When Columbus crossed the Atlantic in 1492, he sailed in ignorance of the great fleets that had come before. History would call his voyage a beginning, yet for China it was already an ending. The world's balance had shifted. Where Zheng He had sailed in peace, others would come for empire. The age of tribute would give way to the age of conquest. The ocean that once united civilizations would become their battleground. In Nanjing, near the site of the ancient shipyards, a tomb stands empty. It bears Zheng He's name, but not his bones. Some say his spirit still sails the southern seas, guiding lost sailors home. His voyages remain one of humanity's grandest stories, a time when the ocean was not a wall between worlds, but a bridge built by courage, curiosity, and the unyielding will of a single man. Zheng He's name was almost erased, yet his wake still shapes the world. The trade routes he charted became the arteries of modern Asia and Africa. His vision, buried by politics, survives as a question. What if exploration had stayed a mission of peace? He proved that discovery could exist without domination, that greatness could rise from service, not power. As waves roll endlessly against forgotten shores, the Admiral's legacy whispers through them, a reminder that the horizon belongs to those who dare to seek it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more great stories. Cheers.